welcome to QI, where tonight we're cantering through the whole kit and caboodle. It's a catch-all that can cover anything and anyone, including the wild expanse of Ross Noble. The far reaches of Noel Fielding. The sweeping vistas of Colin Lane. The frozen wastes of Alan Davies. So, catch my attention if you can. Ross goes. Noel goes. Colin goes. And Alan goes.
Stephen! Stephen! I want the point!
Now, in case anybody's wondering, because he hasn't done that much television in Britain, we found Colin in Australia. Colin, in 1994, you won the Perrier Award, didn't you? For
Yes.
comedy at the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yes.
It's an incredibly distinguished award to win, as... I know.
But you haven't won the Perrier Award, Stephen.
Yes, I did win it, yes.
Oh, you did?
I was my group was the first to win it, ever. Yeah.
The first?
As it happens, yeah. But I wonder who you beat in 1994. Who came second?
There are a few other nominees. I think the main competition came from a little fellow... his name was Alan Davies. Alan Davies, yes.
And then I went to Melbourne and I stayed at Colin's house and he put the Perrier Award on the bedside table. Look in the loft for it.
And the Perrier Award, Alan, was like a piece of wood with like a silver Perrier bottle on top with a little cap on it that kind of just fell off a couple of days after we got it. And the award for Best Newcomer was a lovely... Really? That was you? That was you!
That's a trophy, isn't it?
It's a big oblong perspex with the shape of a Perrier bottle made out of bubbles inside it. It's really nice.
I gave it to my mum, yeah.
Anyway, it's enough inspecting our own bottoms. It's embarrassing. So, suggest, if you may, some uses of kitty litter that don't involve a kitty. Oh. I've got some kitty litter.
Anyone could use it for absorbing their urine, couldn't they?
Well, you could use it in the same way that a kitty would use it, yeah, because it does soak up.
Can you, like when you drop your phone in the loo, you're supposed to put it in a tub of rice to get the moisture out?
Indeed.
Can you do that with cat litter?
There's an episode of Elementary which is based on that very fact.
There's an episode of Jonathan Creek where I weed in some cat litter. The character Jonathan.
Let's work backwards as to how that could possibly be a plotline that you feed.
I just got trapped in a cellar for ages and I needed a wee.
Oh, it's fair enough.
When you're at school, when people would throw up, don't they put cat...
That's a good thing to do. Exactly. Anything like that.
It's that sort of weird brown sand.
Yeah, and they say there's nothing to see here, but there is, isn't there?
Yes.
It's a really good
There's a lot to see.
Also, they would draw a chalk line around it like it had died.
The scene of the body.
The skill was to make it in the shape of a
Make it
dead
look
body.
like a mammal. Oh, a raccoon has died.
It's always a bit of fun to put it in a sugar bowl so that when somebody adds it to their tea, tea's gone.
Probably the most profitable use, bizarrely, was by the American tobacco industry. Can you imagine why that might be? There's a tax on tobacco, obviously. There was a tax on small cigars, and American tobacco companies...
Filters in filters?
They bulked up their small cigars to become big cigars. Using, amongst other things, the ingredients of cat litter, which is disgusting. That's a big cigar.
I think they put someone's leg.
Yes.
Eaten someone.
That is enormous.
I think they bulked that one up too much.
That's a normal-sized cigar, I think, but she's just a very small woman.
They apparently reduced their tax take on tobacco by over $1 billion this way, by bumping small cigars into the big cigar category.
But unfortunately, a lot of cats leapt up and weed on their faces. I'm going to celebrate the deal!
Why did they choose kitty litter as
It was because it's a kind of neutral stuff that burns, that doesn't really taste of anything unpleasant, and is cheap, and it isn't tobacco, so it doesn't have a tax on it.
What about just some soil? Maybe that would be cheaper than
The trouble
kitty
with the soil is
litter.
it wouldn't burn, and it would taste unpleasant.
What about air? It's a foot pump.
Well, there's still some helium, so that you just have your cigar, and you don't have to hold it, you just take your hand away, it just floats there like that. And then you can just go back to it.
And then you go, this is a lovely cigar! It is enormous!
So it's highly flammable. So basically, if a
It's
kitten...
not highly flammable. You can just burn it like tobacco.
It doesn't go...
You can put a cupful of litter in a pair of tights, bear with me, tie off the top and leave it in your shoes overnight for freshness. There's a hint, yes. Someone's going to try that in the audience. Someone's got a teenage son with smelly trainers. Trainers?
Is that what we're
You joined me. I said trainers.
Oh, yeah, he's laughing now. Any minute now, I'll go... so when you see the male ballet dancers in their tights, is that what the... Is that what's going on there?
Yeah.
And lifting will go... It may be fresh.
Look.
Go on, love, smell that. Eat your dinner off that.
Yeah, the point is, the last thing that kitty litter needs is a kitty, really. You could use it for so many other things. Name the product which put Kendall on the map.
Oh.
I'm being pointed at.
Let's do it one letter at a time.
I
Yeah.
love saying that word as well. Those words together.
You do, you?
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Kendall mint cake.
What?
There is a mint cake which went up Everest to the conquering of Everest, and Scott took on
Very
the...
high sugar. It's good for giving you energy when you're up a
It's rather
mountain.
delicious, actually.
I see.
But it's not what put Kendall on the map, as it were. Kendall became famous for another product. And it's actually extraordinary. It's a machine that was built in 1750 and is possibly the oldest still-working machine in the world. It's still producing the same stuff now. It was actually built to make gunpowder. But quite early on in its life, it was schlepped down to Kendall by ass or donkey, and then started to make what it still makes to this day, which is of the same consistency as
Sherbet dip.
gunpowder. Sherbet dip.
That map's only of any use, really, if you're driving to Kendall.
If you
You're right.
It's not much use for anything else. And even then, it's pretty vague.
I used to sell those maps, and people would come in and go, I'm going to Birmingham, and I go, no, you can't.
Yeah, I've only got a Kendall map.
Do you use it in the home?
We nowadays very rarely use it. It was the most popular form of delivery of this drug up until about 1900.
Nicotine?
Nicotine is the right answer. How is nicotine most delivered? Snuff. Kendall has a snuff mill that has been going since 1750 and still produces snuff.
Ah, the old Kendall snuff mill.
The old Kendall snuff mill.
I think I knew that.
I have some snuff for you to try in different flavours. You can see whether the lid is lying or not. These special QI lids. You can take it if you want. You obviously inhale it up the nose.
You do it all, right?
Oh. Yes, don't do it all, no. It's very sharp. It is. It's sharp. Really? No! Oh, you're licking it. Gums. Oh, moustache. It is quite sharp. You have, what's your flavour, say?
It says Christmas pudding.
You've got Christmas pudding. Rough, noble.
Honestly, it's fine. It's good. Put it in your eyes.
This is probably the only time my nan's going to watch me on telly, and I'll be like that the whole show.
What do you reckon, Colin?
Oh, that is this flavour says kitty litter. That is awful.
You're not a fan?
I'm not a fan. It says champagne.
Yeah, they're different. So many, I mean, hundreds, thousands of different flavours, or sorts, as they're called. What does yours say on the lid, Daniel?
Flavour?
Yeah.
Jealousy.
Like Calvin Klein.
Whiskey and honey.
Whiskey and honey.
Yeah.
Does it take... yeah, yours,
No, not
Ross,
really.
when you've come down...
I can't see. I can't see anything. Who's talking to me?
Your flavour's madness.
It says peanut butter.
No, it says Perrier.
That's it.
Perrier smells of victory. The problem is it makes your snot brown, so there's snuff handkerchiefs, which are brown silk handkerchiefs or dark-coloured silk handkerchiefs. But that will really, you'll see, you'll get a... It will look as if you've wiped your arse, I'm afraid.
From here, looks like the Turin shroud.
I can see the face of our Lord.
You know it's snuff. You're like, oh! He sat in his hanky!
Even though they know.
Eyeball comes out in the way.
That's fine.
What are the advantages, if I can put it that way, of taking snuff instead of smoking?
Well, there's no smoky stinkiness.
It's
It's very self-contained.
lung cancer, emphysema, heart disease are very unlikely.
Not bothering other people so much.
It doesn't bother other people.
Doesn't make your clothes smell.
Doesn't make
but
your
it
clothes-
will
in fact, it could be
definitely
perfumed.
rot inside your nose, your sinuses. And
Nasopharyngeal-
It affects the way you talk as well.
Yeah, well, there is that. It does slightly increase your chances of nasopharyngeal cancer. But
Oh,
only
great.
slightly.
Thanks very much.
Not one pinch, I promise. It is, of course, necessary for me at this point not to recommend snuff or any other tobacco product.
Is that Little Mix?
I don't want to alarm anyone, but the one at the top left is me.
It is! Oh, my goodness. There's no doubting it. Anyway, snuff said about Kendall. Why isn't the tiny woman in your snuff box wearing any pants? There's a picture in the lid of your snuff box.
Wow. I think the snuff's kicked in.
I've only got a headshot.
Well, it's only a headshot,
Yeah,
but
I've only got-
as it happens, she wouldn't be wearing any
I've
pants.
got a full...
Have you?
You've got a liar.
I've taken her face and arranged the snuff so it looks like she's a bearded lady.
Like that magnetic thing with the iron
yeah.
filings. I used to love that.
Pants as in undergarments, those sort of pants?
Well, it's a woman who was probably, you could regard as almost the first celebrity in a strange sort of way, in as much as she wasn't an aristocrat, a politician, an artist, a warrior. She had no accomplishment whatsoever.
Katie Price.
Basically, she was... That's quite extraordinary. She was an 18th century courtesan, which is not a word we use anymore. So she really rose to fame in the mid-18th century when she fell off her horse in St James's Park, and it was revealed to the astonished onlookers...
Going commando.
She was going commando. She had no underwear. There is a picture which is slightly overdone, but it's an example of how
You're missing
famous...
the crucial aspect as well.
Somewhat.
That's what going commando is. No pants.
No pants. Yeah. Kitty Fisher, such was her name.
Kitty Fisher?
Kitty Fisher. She went to commando, and she exploited it enormously. And there were snuff boxes produced with pictures of her in them, and...
Muff boxes?
And there were watches, called montre lubrique, lubricious watches, which used the clockwork to show her doing rather pornographical things in sort of like a sort of automaton kind of thing, a little movement.
Oh, God, you wouldn't want the grandfather clock with a pendulum version, would you?
She led a sensationally
I don't even know why that's funny.
Just don't overthink it. That's my approach to life.
Her life was sensationally dissolute. Casanova describes a moment where she ate a 1,000 guinea note with butter spread on it. Now, 1,000 guineas in those days could buy you, you know, an
kingdom of
estate.
England.
It could buy you a country house with servants, and I mean, it's staggering.
So she was an idiot.
Just incredibly carefree, I suppose you'd describe that. She had portraits painted of her by Reynolds, the great portraitist of his day, and she apparently...
The one in the middle doesn't really look...
No, that
One in the middle looks like Alan Sugar.
these are... These are...
I started with nothing.
I've taken my wealth and I've swallowed it. I'll tell you what, you're going to get down on your knees and you're going to wait for that note to come out. Is that why she didn't have the knickers on? She was waiting for the... She was just waiting for... That's all it was.
There it is, there it is!
Here it comes. I can see the Queen's face.
Oh, it's gone back in again.
It was a king in the mid-18th
Oh, was it a king?
Yes. So, anyway, Reynolds, these are not examples of paintings of her, but she got through so many lovers that he had to keep all the paintings he did of her, because the man would say, I'm in love with Kitty, I wanted to do a painting of her, and about halfway through, she was onto a new man. She was an
So he
extraordinary
made a
woman.
flick book, essentially.
Basically, a flick book with pictures of her. Yeah, she was pretty extraordinary. Perhaps the first celeb. But like some modern celebs, she sometimes forgot to wear any pants. So, moving on now, we have some kits. What would you use these kits for?
Window cleaning.
It's the first one. Well, no, they go together.
Scratching a window and then cleaning.
This has a very specific ecological purpose, rather
Is that a
bizarrely.
wire wall brush affair?
It's a scourer. It's a pan scourer. Which you get from your average high street pan scourer shop.
No one's ever held a scourer like that. Come and do the dishes.
Scouring superhero. By the power of scour! Oh, the man on the right doesn't really need the extended squeegee, but... a bit more effort, I think he could have got to the top. I'm going to get the extension out. Oh!
We're in a world of ecology.
Right.
We're in a world of the second largest fish in the world.
Is it a big squid?
Fish.
A jellyfish?
A fish.
Great white.
Basking.
Basking shark!
For the last time, I'm
I want
basking.
points!
In your dreams. There it is, with its rather wonderful mouth open.
Whoa!
Isn't that
I've got a
fabulous?
coat hanger stuck in my mouth! Help me! There's a coat hanger in my mouth! I'm being so overboard!
It's a beautiful animal, and
Not really.
unfortunately, it's hunted to the verge of extinction. So we need to know a lot about them because they're so in danger. And to take a core of their DNA is difficult. You need to sort of... It's like tagging them. So what they've come up with...
Is that one being examined now? Is that why he's got his mouth open?
Say ah. So what you do is you get a window cleaning rod, you shove a pan scour on the end, and you scrape off the slime from each particular one, which has got its DNA, and you send it to the University of Aberdeen, where it's marked, and then you check its progress by marking other ones.
Occasionally, do they swallow slightly smaller?
Yes, I know.
Like Russian dolls. There's 19 in here.
It's a lovely thought. Yeah, it's a couple, Graham Hall and his wife,
Is that the
Jackie.
name of that shop?
No.
Graham Hall. It's not quite as frightening when you say, quick, there's a Graham! There's a Graham!
Graham Hall and his wife Jackie from the
lovely.
Isle of Man go out into the Arctic Sea and scrape casting shards with pan scourers and send the DNA to Aberdeen. And it's been jolly useful. It's jolly, jolly useful.
Would anybody like to know how you know that you're being followed by a gay shark?
Yeah, come on.
How do you know you're being followed by a gay shark? No, 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 no.
That's very good.
I like that.
And here's another kit. What's that? It's luminous pins and reels of cotton. What would they be used for?
Stowing in the dark.
That would certainly be.
Disco Nanas? Very popular. Yeah. That's all that when, you know, when John Travolta was doing that?
Yes.
He had wool around that
This was part of the kit of a man called Dr. Eric Dingwall.
one. Oh.
Dr. Eric Dingwall specialised in exposing something. Not his own Dingwall, but
The wall of his ding.
fake mediums. In other words, fakes. People who pretend that dead people
Is it to
speak.
do with Ouija boards or anything?
Yeah, there are people who pretend,
wow.
quite wrongly, that dead people can speak, which they can't. They're dead. They don't talk to you, they're dead. But there are people, a class of fraud, and I'm saying this directly into camera, you are a fraud if you are you are fraudulent.
Hang on. My granddad says, shut your face.
Dr. Eric Dingwall cunningly used
Stop it,
thread.
granddad, stop it.
It's quite weird because we look like we're in a seance.
Yes, you do.
You always look like you're in the same.
Let's be honest.
I'm getting a basking shot.
What's that? You were touched inappropriately by a man called Graham.
Anyway, no, Eric Dingwall specialised in exposing mediums, and he would tie thread to their legs so that he could feel what their bodies were doing in the dark. He would also attach luminous pins to them, so again, when it was dark, you could see where they were moving and what they were doing, what machinery they were operating, what tricks they were up to. Now it's time for a bit of general ignorance, so fingers on buzzers, please. What was a Roman soldier's salary?
Wine, prostitutes.
The outfit, just the outfit.
Audience?
40 quid a week.
Salt! Oh, dear! Oh, we... There's a joy in trapping the audience there. Yes, it is true that the word derives from the Latin for salt, but it is never true that they were paid in salt. The money would go towards the buying of salt, but also towards the buying of their uniform, the buying of almost everything else, because a bit like British officers, they have to buy everything themselves out of their salary, but they were never paid in salt.
We're getting paid in salt, though, aren't we?
You're getting paid in salt. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Kitty litter.
Yeah, the Romans, in fact, planted vineyards, as you may know, in parts of Britain. So here's a question. Where does British wine come from?
Somerset.
Somerset? No.
Kent.
No.
Kendall.
Kent? No. Which country does it come from?
France.
Might do. The point is, British wine is made from grape concentrate, which comes from abroad. Whereas English wine is proper English wine from English vineyards. And so English wine gets a very bad reputation because people have tried British wine and think it's the same, and it isn't. There are over 400 vineyards in Britain now, and maybe global warming will see an increase in that. Certainly in Roman days, in the medieval warm period, as it's called, wine was commonly made there. Yeah. So, anyway, English wine comes from England, but British wine can come from anywhere. And now, this is where it gets scary. I'm going to try and impress you with my martial arts skills.
Really?
You're gonna
Karate. Let's break stuff with our bare hands. And we're going to begin with you. You should have a piece of paper and a ruler.
Yes.
And what I want you to do is put the ruler on the table, 2/3 of the way, something like that, and put the paper on top of it. Like so. Not wholly over it, leave the bit out. That's it. Yeah, Colin's got it right. Thank you, Colin.
Okay.
All right. Now, without putting your hand over the paper,
how you got that award.
simply karate chop and break the piece of wood, because the air pressure over the paper will act as a... You think that can't be possible. So, Colin, you try.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh!
Isn't that surprising? Who would...
And I didn't believe you, so I
know.
really put my shoulder into it.
Yeah, you have to. Nice bit of follow through.
Yeah.
Alan, you have a go. Yeah, oh, well, it is in half, you can see, but it slipped out, unfortunately. Go on, Ross. Is it in half?
Hey!
All right, now. Yeah! It's very surprising.
Feels good, though, doesn't it?
It feels good.
I feel like Bruce Lee.
Now,
for about 4 seconds.
what I'm going to do is I've got 3 bricks here. And it is...
It's like the first ever game of Jenga.
It is. Wow. OK. Yep.
It's Kendall Mint Cake.
OK. Right, oh, God. I have to focus my energy. I know it's all right, it sounds... But I have to focus. I have to go through. I have to... Oh, God. I'm so nervous now. Give me that mould. Last time I got mould. OK, but even more. I got another load here, and this time, in theory...
You're going to do it with your penis?
In theory here, ow. So choose top, middle or bottom?
Middle.
Oh, no. OK, I'll try and break just the middle then.
I bet you Chuck Norris is crapping himself.
I'm going to try and break just the middle one. Again, this takes extreme focus and extreme pain. I just don't want to do this.
You don't want to do it again.
Thank you.
I can't believe I put my hood on in case there were shards.
What, shards of his splintering wrist?
Kendall Mint Cake.
The truth is, there's no mystique to karate chopping bricks, just good old physics, and in our case, to be honest, trick bricks. So don't try and do it at home. I'm still very strong and hench and butch, though. But anyway, it must be time for the scores, and it is fantastic. In first place, wow, with a +4, is Ross Noble!
Yeah!
The Nobel Prize! In second place, with a +1, Noel Fielding! It's incredible. In third place, with -6, Alan David! And certainly worth the airfare. In fourth place, with -9, it's Colin Lane. But in last place, with -10, the audience! And it only remains for me to thank Noel, Ross, Colin and Alan. Whatever you do, keep your kit on. Good night.